Good afternoon, guys, and welcome to the podcast from California. I've got Dr. Joan, and by trade, she is a chiropractor, and she recently she helps individuals with identity theft and helps them recover how to prevent. And so this conversation is going to be all about identity theft. And if that's of interest to you, I'm really happy to have her on the show. Joan, welcome.
I'm so happy to be here, Chris.
Yeah.
As it's a huge problem these days for people, and most people don't even know how to handle it.
Yeah. And briefly introduce yourself and how you got started. And I'm really excited to, get into the nuances of it.
Yeah, me too. So I'm Dr. Joan of Angels, Dr. Joan Hangarter. Over the years, I evolved from practicing chiropractic, and I used to consult in other chiropractors' offices. And then I pivoted also and began to coach people to how to live your best life. And so I expanded my practice in many ways. But this last summer, and I've been a speaker, I spoke all around the world, executive producer of a company called Portal to Ascension. We did online and in-person conferences everywhere, Egypt, London, the UK. So it was great. And so I'm an educator. And this year, last summer, it suddenly came to my awareness, like quite a shock, that there were at least three people using my social security number.
Mhm.
One I identified had started a T-Mobile account in my name. I think their name was something like Tom. One person the IRS had actually told me about or mentioned years ago, 2005, briefly mentioned as if it was no big deal, someone using my social security number. And then the third person I caught trying to get a loan in my name. That really was like having someone slap you awake, Chris, to realize that there's something going on. And I was in the middle of launching a big project. I was rewriting my book. I had a lot going on. And suddenly I had no time to deal with this, and I had hours and hours of having to pivot to try to understand what was happening to my credit. And that is how I got into this. That's my background of really this year becoming an advocate for reminding people, especially seniors, to be alert to what's happening with your accounts.
Mhm. Yeah. And so we'll dive right into the questions. And first thing is typically the traditional methods is shred up your mail, your address, all that stuff. But I think now and everything's digital and people are getting more sophisticated. So, what are the top ways that people make themselves vulnerable to identity theft?
First of all, the largest theft comes from people we trust that pretend to be people we trust. So you get a letter from your bank, you get a letter from PayPal, you get a letter from Norton. This happened to me just recently. Norton wrote to me, and I thought it was real. So you see a trusted person, and then the thing to do to avoid identity theft is then to look at the email address. Now, and that's the next level, guys, of being sophisticated about where your mail is coming from. Mail is where most of the identity theft is happening now, and most of it is from names that you already trust, but they're faking those names.
Mm.
And step one is to really start paying attention to the emails that you're getting, because there is a way that you can at the top look and see the email address of that sender. And you need to do that on every single email before you click the link that they have sent you.
Mhm.
And that's a simple fix, Chris. That should help some of it. But I don't know about you, but I've noticed every day I get three or four, five emails like that. It just seems to be more commonplace. So that's the first thing to look for. The second thing to look for is to start to see if there's been changes in your account. Case in point, I'm traveling. Oh my God, this happened a month ago. I was on United Airlines from Florida to California. I'm trying to get on PayPal so I can buy Wi-Fi. Trying to click on it, and I notice, and I have it set up so that they send a text to my phone number. The phone number that they wanted to text it to was not my phone number. Someone, while I was on that airplane, managed to get into my PayPal account and changed my phone number to their number, or they added it just like that. And if I hadn't really caught it, I would never have known. And when I got back when I landed, I started going through all of my bank accounts to see if anyone had added any of their phone numbers. I didn't expect that. It was going to be a normal flight, right? So that's another way.
Mm, interesting. And you talked about what predisposes or makes people vulnerable to identity theft, and usually it's someone close to you, a spouse, partner, it could be family member. And then there's all these hacking, and I get all these random texts say call this number, which I never do. It's because I know it's and they're like your so and so account is being hacked, or call this number and you're routed to some place in overseas. And they're what so when you get these sort of, we'll narrow down on the social aspect, the social engineering, and the cyber security aspect. So what things should people be wary of, especially with text, phone calls, people sending you links? What things make a initial contact suspicious?
First of all, this means you have to become far more paranoid than you ever used to,
Hmm.
because you have to actually start looking. A text that comes from someone I don't know, that's already suspicious now. Even though I send texts to people that I just met, I don't know them yet, but if they haven't introduced themselves to you in that text, it could be a suspicious text. If there's a link in that text, just delete it. If there's something that's important enough that you need to have it, they will find another way to get it to you. And I struggled with that. Oh my God, maybe this is important. I gotta click it on. The other thing, such a common scam you would not believe people fall for it, is this the you owe postage. My daughter fell for this in London. It was a $5,500 mistake for her. That's a lot of money. It was one of those, she was expecting a package from the US and they must have known it. God knows how that happens, but it says, oh, your package is in customs. It needs another 55 cents or something, like something innocuous. So she, of course, clicked on it. And before you know it, she's talking to these frauders who get into her account, and $5,500 later. So that's another thing to be aware of. You do not owe postage. No one sends you a text to tell you that UPS is holding your account and you owe money. So common sense is really indicated here. Then there's the calls where people go, is this Joan? Or they make text me and say, is this Chris? And of course I'm going to go, oh no, this is not Chris. Who is this? And once you start doing that, they've caught you in some way also. Even just engagement with some of these people is a challenge. And if you give them a key to your bank account, like my daughter did, or my friend Dylan's father had his 2/3 of his retirement account wiped out, this is real. What are other ways? I want to trigger people to start to be aware. Honestly, when I first became aware of the identity theft protection, I get an email from Norton, what I think is Norton, and I'm experienced at this by now, right? And this time, because it looks so good, I did not look at the email address and I almost got screwed. Okay, I caught myself just in the nick of time. But it could be almost anything. So anything that you don't know where it comes from, who it is, anyone who's asking your name, don't even bother to respond. They don't know who you are. They're just phishing. And that's what it's called, phishing, phishing, phishing. They're like fishing, like it's as if you're a fish. They're trying to grab your information. They throw it out there and they're going to grab it. So those are other ways. Now, this thing about social security number, Chris, is really huge because back last summer in August, I don't know if you remember, 2.6 billion social security numbers were hacked. Now, we only have something like 380 some odd million people in this country, so you have to, number one, wonder about the rest of them. But now many of us have more than one person, meaning more than you, using your social security number. They're being given out like candy to people. And the IRS doesn't care. You can call Social Security, they don't care. The one that matters is if you care. What happens if someone gets your refund? Or in a state where they're checking voter ID, they vote for you. A lot of people went to vote a few years, like not last year so much, but in 2022, found out they had already voted. They hadn't, but someone voted for them. So if you think about all the things that we want to protect, your mortgage, do you own your own home, Chris?
Of course.
Of course you own your own home. Okay. Did you hear about the title theft
Mm,
and the mortgage fraud theft? And this is real. So they go and they can go down to the courthouse and change the title out of your name
mm,
into their names and take a loan out, a mortgage. So we caught one guy who had three mortgages taken out on his name and social security number. So when they come due, who do you think has to pay for it? And that's another thing to be aware of. And that's also on the rise. So I
mm,
hate to be so pessimistic. I want people to be aware that identity theft is real. It can attack anyone. You can think that you're well protected. All my friends in the spiritual community go, "Oh, I'm connected. It'll never happen to me." And they're getting taken out right and left by this because there's a naivety that many people have. It's not
interesting.
going to happen to me. It's going to happen to Chris, but it won't happen to me.
Mm,
Happen to Joan, but not me.
interesting. Yeah. And so the next question I have for you is what are some proactive tools to prevent theft or phishing or hacking or these types of scams?
I suppose the first thing is to be eternally vigilant. That's your first hack, eternally vigilant. Stop it before you open it. Don't just sit down like you used to with your email or your text messages and open everything and click everything. Stop it. Start using your discretion. Go online and look at your credit report. Very important to look at your credit report because that's going to tell you if someone else has opened an account in your name.
Mm,
If you suspect someone's using your account, then immediately try to lock down your accounts. So when I found someone was trying to get a payday loan in my name, I shut down the payday loans and I shut down all my credit. Boom. Now, just so you know, it's very annoying to shut down all your credit because if you need credit, you have to then reopen everything and create a window of opportunity. But being vigilant is going to really help. And using a service that can take care of you. I've been using something called Identity ID Shield, Legal Shield Protection ID Shield. So what did they do? Number one, I have a password protector on my computer. They haven't, which is interesting because on the airplane that night, I was having trouble with my VPN. And so I had shut off my VPN on the airplane. And I guess because it's a closed Wi-Fi, someone was able to just get right into that account and hack me as I was trying to open it. So being able to monitor things in real time, also very important. So VPN's critical. Having your computer monitored for attacks is critical. This is common sense. Do not use the same password over and over again. Yeah, do not use a common word. Don't use your name. Don't use the name and dates of your children. I know this is, and even my kids, I yell at them all the time, and they still use their names. Probably should never have said that. Don't use your names, guys. Really be creative. If you can remember the password, it's a bad password,
mm, yeah. Interesting. And
right?
a lot of services now are getting away from passwords and they're using like 2FA and biometrics. The so next question I have for you is so you talked about ID Shield, we talked about multi-factor authentication, these types of things. The next question is how let's say you do get how does someone what is the next step once they discover their identity's been stolen?
So it really depends. If you've been proactive and you have a service that helps you, then you do what I do now. I didn't have this before, but you go online and you start dealing with it. You reached out to your service. You reach out to the IRS, and these are the steps I did. I reached out to the IRS. I reached out to the Social Security Office. I filed a police report.
Uh,
There's a couple of national services you can go and file issues with. And I did all of that.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing changed. The guy who has my T-Mobile account, and his name is, I think it's Thomas, he still has that account. The other guy who obviously is paying taxes using my social security number still has that account. I'm the only one agitated, guys. And so you just have to keep monitoring your credit regularly, like monthly, like brushing your teeth monthly to make sure no one has really attacked you.
Mm-hmm. Interesting.
Even
Uh,
with your title, Chris,
yeah.
even with your title, really protecting yourself, your mortgage, to make sure, because now it's getting more insidious,
Mm-hmm.
not less.
Yeah. Yeah, and then I get all these random texts saying, "Oh, we're interested in buying your property for cash," and it's just like a random text. Like I said, these are really stupid and annoying things, but maybe some of the audience really doesn't know that, so just keep aware. Just all these just like I said. So what's interesting is when you're a chiropractor and you're also an energy healer. We have a few minutes remaining. Talk about just healing, like what does it do emotionally or energetically, and talk about karma to these perpetrators.
Karma to those perpetrators. This life, past life, and future lives, let it all be ruined. No. Yeah, look, we know that it happens, and our job is to protect ourselves and the people we love. And everything on this. And it's a reminder. Really use it as a reminder to self-protect, to go around and look at your defenses. Like at home, you walk around, you make sure the door is locked, the windows are locked. Now you're adding your own personal identity also to make sure you have it protected from everyone else. It takes extra time to think about it. You just don't automatically answer everything like a naive person that we used to be before this show. Just because the other day, I'm telling you, every day I get all these texts from people now. Feel free to text me, guys. I offer free these consultation about these issues. If you're feeling like you have to deal with them, you don't understand what's going on, because they pose. Here's another one, Chris. I didn't even mention AI is making it even worse. So you remember a couple of years ago, there was a scam that for parents, they'd somehow get a phone call that their child was kidnapped and in South Africa somewhere penniless. You know what I'm
Mhm.
talking about? Now they're doing it on AI and sending parents videos of their kids having lost a finger already, like a terrifying situation. So now we have to watch out for AI taking over and frightening us even more.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah, that's something I was gonna ask you about, and just like random calls in the middle of the night, cloning your voice or cloning your kid's
Yeah.
voice, and almost exactly identical. Interesting. And so you assist with that. And so how can people learn more about you and learn more from you and connect with you?
First thing, thank you for asking that, guys. I'll send Chris my website so you can have it and he can put it on there. But you can just reach out to me at my phone number, 415-717-1385. Now, don't make it a random text. Here's what you have to say in the text for me to answer you. Give me your name and you'd like a financial consultation. You heard me on Chris's show. That way, I actually know you're a real person.
Mm,
And that way I will answer you. So that really is the best way to get a hold of me, is just to send me a text and we'll work that way and work backwards.
yeah, excellent. Thanks so much for
Yeah.
coming on and talking about such an important topic.
Yeah, thank you, Chris. It's been great. Yeah. Things I didn't even remember. Oh yeah, don't forget your Gmail accounts too. They hacked those last summer.
Yeah,
So just stay safe, everyone.
yeah, yeah. Use two-factor authentication, biometrics. Um, and thanks so much for coming on.
You are so welcome, Chris.